so.
No, in the...
More about gel coat.
When the fourth round would...
Don't you call in the...
More importantly, he knew what he was talking about.
Oh, jeez. There's just nothing good on. Oh, wait. Wait a minute. I got an idea of what I could do. Welcome back, everybody. This is Cyborg, and I have this time with me, Shad. And we are going to break down his top 10 characters that he most wants to see in Mortal Kombat 11. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too shabby this evening. With only the two of us here, I suppose I feel less of a pressure to make myself heard, since it's just kind of an easygoing Q&A session.
Oh yeah,
maybe we can get a...
the floor is yours.
Yes. Make it kind of like a smooth, easygoing round of conversation. Get some jazz going in the background.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit like Barry White, have my voice become steadily deeper and deeper as this thing goes on.
I've already got the bearskin rug. All right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
So your number 10,
yes.
Starting off with your number 10 for MK11, who do you got, sir?
It's Kharacter.
All right.
We're starting here in the category of things I know are not going to happen.
That's
because,
okay. That's okay.
I mean, it's ground that we've been covering for many months now, and I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't keep consistency with this and say that, yes, I really, out of all the characters in MKX that I enjoyed, of all the newcomers, Kharacter was pretty much like my number one personal favorite, although admittedly not the best one because, you know, they kind of got stuck with grunt status, as they're going to. And it's seldom that a new grunt shows up twice in a row, so I've already resigned myself to the fact that they're not going to be in MK11, but I'm just saying it would be nice if.
Well,
I really enjoyed their playstyle, and just the design, like I've said many times, has just struck the Mad Max core of my fandom. And
oh yeah, I'm with you there. I love Mad Max. I love those films, and you do have going for you, or at least the character has going for them, as unlikely as it may seem that they return, just because they kind of felt a little bit like an afterthought, unfortunately, because I'm with you. I love the concept, but they do have Ed Boon's favorite new character going for him. He did go on record saying that Kharacter is his favorite new character, so whatever that is worth, I don't know. I mean, look how far Scorpion's made it with him being his favorite character, but
it might be a fair bit, because I mean, Scorpion keeps showing up, Jax is another big favorite of his, and Ed's word kind of counts for a lot, so he might maybe give them another toss. I'd like to see it. I know not a lot of people feel that way, but yeah, fuck y'all. I thought they were cool.
And you got to have some bigger characters in there just to, you know, have a size variety for characters, much like Injustice, you know, has their Bane and other big characters that they keep having in each game. So it makes sense to have somebody in there.
It's a fighting game staple, really, to at least have one or two big dudes, bruisers, bulkers, up and shambling about. And MK has always had Jax to some extent, but he's never really felt like he occupies that gigantic bruiser kind of space. Kind of, sort of, but not all the way there. And now that we got characters like Kharacter, we're kind of fitting that mold. It would be kind of a shame to lose them.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not a big fan of just introducing characters just to toss them out, you know, going forward. I feel like they've done that too many times, and it's led to too many characters just being introduced and feeling like complete afterthoughts and like black sheep of the series. I mean, we could go through most of the 3D era and say that about a lot of those new characters. They just got introduced, and that was the last of it. Other than the all-in games like Armageddon, they had no chance of coming back.
That's the thing of it, man. We have a backlog of like 25 people, a lot of which I don't particularly hate, but just kind of never really caught on. And would I particularly say no to any of them coming back? Not especially. I joke and I jab, but I'll even fucking take Cobra because, like I said about comic characters, man, all it takes is the right writer, and you can work magic. I would not even say no to Darius coming back. I'd prefer he didn't. Or Dairu, I suppose, but I mean, just the right bit of writing can work wonders for absolutely anyone. It's a shame that we've just got these handfuls of people we'll never see again.
Yeah, I would say everyone's savable. It's just some are going to take more revamping than others. But yeah, I'm with you. I would personally like less new characters going forward. I felt like the 8 in MKX was a bit more than I'd like to see. I think, 2 to 4 each game feels fair, because then you leave a lot of room to give the ones that have been left behind in previous games another shot as well. Because when you just add so many new characters to each new game, it just makes it further and further unlikely that you're going to see some from previous games make a return.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. So we got Kharacter for your number 10. Who is your number 9?
Speaking of returning characters, dudes you haven't seen in a while, my number 9 is... See, it's tricky. I want either Taven or Dagon. Dagon makes more sense to me because we need some sort of red dragon representation before people kind of forget that they were a thing, and there's all this speculation that the red dragon are going to come back, and I'd love to see it. And out of the 3 of them, I'm going to be honest, like, Dagon probably made the biggest impression. But by the same token, Taven kind of occupies that important protagonist space, and in a series which is now very largely occupied in the protagonist roles by whatever Special Forces guys are running the gamut this week, and Scorpion or Sub-Zero, Taven as this Edenian protagonist was actually kind of a nice change of pace. I didn't care much for him as a character because he was just kind of Mr. Protagonist, unlike Shujinko, who I actually like Shujinko because he's got a character. He's an idiot. Taven didn't really have that. But he has he has interesting places that he can go, and if they ever really want to properly occupy or finish up the Armageddon plotline correctly, I can think of very few better bits of representation than the Taven himself. Because man, no one wants fucking Blaze back. No one.
Yeah, I definitely do not. But all right, yeah, I agree with you between those two, between Taven and Dagon. I would take the latter, of course, because for all the reasons that you mentioned. Taven, neither of them really stuck out to me in Armageddon. I thought both of them were a little bit bland, but I feel one has far more potential than the other, for sure.
If I remember right, didn't they each share half of a move list? I mean, everyone shared a fucking move list in that game, but I kind of seem to remember them both having a generic shoulder charge and a fireball and fucking whatever. Just there's basically room to create a new character from the ground up and use their physical appearance and history. Just
pretty much. I mean, I feel that way about a lot of the 3D era characters that kind of fell by the wayside. Is I feel like if they were brought back, you could pretty much you'd still stick with the basic appearance of the character, but you can revamp just about 80% of them, and everything would be better because of it. Because then you're not introducing a whole new character; you're fixing ones that could use the love. But yeah, I agree.
It does rack the brain how they go through all the trouble of making wonderful, better new characters in MKX, and they're shitting on a gold mine, Trebek.
All right, so we got. So you decided on Dagon. Deacon.
I guess Dagon by virtue of needing some sort of red dragon representation. Although I would take either. It's an either or scenario.
Got it. All right.
Not both. To stress. Not both.
Right. Yeah, not a noob smoke type of deal.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So
there are other characters who I think would better fit the mold of tag team fight.
Yes.
Not them.
Yes.
It would be awkward.
All right. So that's your number 8. Your number 7 then. Or your 8. Sorry, that was your number 9.
Yes. Numbers
are hard.
My number's 9.
Yes.
So my number 8 is actually, and half of it's to troll Temp with. But to be quite honest, I mean, when I was a kid, I used to devise arachnid or insectoid Mortal Kombat types of characters left and right, and it really, really made me happy to actually have a character like that show up in the game. And my only disappointment going in with Devora was that she was basically just Tanya Mark II, as we all know. But in terms of a moveset and just playability and personality, and God, she was to me kind of the stuff that MK is best made of. In terms of just random weirdos from the far wastelands of Outworld, places we've never seen and I'd love to visit. You know what I want is a background in MK11? Give me like Devora's Hive or some shit. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
She kind of like emblemized the creepiness of Outworld that we don't get so much anymore, and she's a great reminder of the fact that Outworld is an odd place with odd people of all kinds. And just she was so fun. You got the aerial X-rays going on, and the squidge factor. She makes people uncomfortable. She feels like for some reason specifically, I can imagine her showing up in the old school Defenders of the Realm cartoon. I really can, or Conquest.
Yeah,
she just kind of like fits really well into the MK mold. It was a no-brainer for me to include her in this list.
absolutely. There's if anybody goes back and listens to our episodes leading up to MKX, I was a huge fan leading into MKX for Devora. I thought out of all the new characters they introduced, she was my favorite, and I just thought the design was very fresh and unique compared to everything we've gotten in the past. That's kind of the thing I want most. If you're going to go and introduce a new character, at least make them a character archetype that we do not currently have in the series. I mean, with a roster in the series of 60 plus at this point, you better be mining new ground if you're going to introduce a new character. We don't need another monk. We don't need another cyborg. We don't need another ninja, etc., etc. We've got enough of those. If you're gonna go through the trouble of introducing a new character, give us something fresh and new. That's kind of why this
is exactly why I've been shitting on the notions of like Tremor and now Chrome for all these years, because look at what MKX did for us.
Chrome.
Stop that. Stop that.
I'm not even sure what you're referring to. Chrome.
No, just the concept of having more ninjas. You know, I mean,
yeah.
With all of this, all these exciting characters and new archetypes, why?
No, yeah, absolutely. That's been my stance for a while. Give us like an alchemist. I still think an alchemist would be really cool. Give us, I mean, there's so many like a tinkerer, somebody that just loves little gadgets and blows himself up with bombs and stuff. I don't know, things like that excite me. So
I always felt that like the alchemy route is the one that they should have gone with Quan Chi, but they just made him Shang Mark II, but better.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off to no end.
But yeah, so Devora definitely fits that bill. She's very unique, both in look and just everything she's about, other than kind of her story twist was a little bit odd. But yeah, I love the character. I'd love to see her return, so I'm with you on that. Absolutely. All right,
moving on to number 7 now. The trend of having new characters come back continues because my number 7 is Kotal Khan. And if you don't have Kotal Khan on your top 10 list, that's a paddling. I've made the joke, so you don't have to. The thing about Kotal Khan is, not only is he a great, elegant design that just kind of, again, slots right nicely into the MK world, the space that he occupies in terms of Outworld being present as a force or an entity it's a really, really nice shift from the norm. It was good to have Outworld in a game and not have Outworld be necessarily antagonistic. It was a place to be. There were things going on there, and it felt more naturalized in terms of MK. It felt, if MKX did this right, it earned Outworld having a sense of history and having new characters and having a new generation of Outworld, people from Outworld, and Kotal not being a rampant warlord. Like, we were all thinking it going in. It's another Khan. He's gonna just be the next asshole to put on a hammer and put on a skull and wield a hammer and whatnot. And we were so absolutely wrong about the character. Completely wrong.
Yep.
And again, he offers a lot in terms of variety and play style and powering up via stones and smacking people around via quick combos that do a lot of damage and being able to heal. He was just really, really unique.
Absolutely.
Like MKX brought so much variety to the table. It's a shame that to me, kind of in a way, that we shit on it now for being a little bit washed out, and everyone liked MK9's playstyle better, but MKX brought so much more to the world of MK than 9 did in terms of being new. It was such a breath of fresh air for me.
I agree with that. I actually prefer MKX's gameplay over MK9. I mean, they both have their problems for sure, but yeah. I side with the MKX gameplay, and I agree wholeheartedly with Kotal Khan. To me, if I had to pick my second favorite character of the new characters introduced in MKX, Kotal would be that second character. To me, I love the design, once again, as we talked about with Devora, how she was a unique character archetype for the game and the series as a whole. That's what Kotal was. He's an Aztec god, or he at least looks like one, and he has that kind of appeal, and his gameplay is very unique, like you said, with the totems and all that. Definitely a unique approach to a character, so I 100% in agreement there. Absolutely.
Moving up the list. Now we start to enter the vanity section. And I know a lot of people can agree with this one. Where's Noob? We want Noob back. We want to know what the hell Noob's doing. Because we're kind of in denial about the fact that he's dead, aren't we?
Yeah, he's got to come back at some point. I feel like he's too popular, and he's just Noob. It's just
it's conspicuous. His absence is conspicuous. The complete totality of it. The fact that MKX didn't mention the guy at all that I'm aware of, unless there was like something in some of the DLC speech or like something in the mobile game, I have no idea, but it is strange and foreign to me. I can't grasp the notion or the concept of Noob being dead completely. It's obscene. He's a schemer. He's a wheeler and dealer, and we've gotten used to seeing him like kind of try to push himself forward as a force to be reckoned with, and to just have him get soul NATO'd in 9 and just have that be the end of it just seems wrong. Almost every other ninja got like kind of a do in MKX in one way or another, and it was just, there was just no Noob. There was no place for him. And that hasn't been the case for a really long time, and it was kind of refreshing. But I'm ready for him to come back now.
I feel like at the very least, if he doesn't come back on the main roster, I feel like he's a shoo-in for DLC. He's got that popularity, he'd sell if they wanted to go that route.
He's a no-brainer, and they can use the time and the lessons that they learned from MK9 to make him be a little bit more playable, because holy shit. that was the thing. People loved how Noob felt in MK9. No one liked to play as the guy. He was stiff and awkward, but fun.
Definitely.
All right, so now we've got number 5 is Reiko. I don't know what to tell you other than that this is the continuing section of my self-indulgence portion of the list, but I just really miss the guy. And for all that the MKX comic was kind of silly and having him stab himself and get all blood for the blood god and skulls for the skull throne, it was fun to see him do his thing. And I suppose I would like closure one way or another as to whether or not the comic was canon. Hint, it's not. Stop. But it's just been a long it's been a long time since I've seen Reiko do anything in a game. He hasn't really done all that much apart from get slapped around in the games still to this day. And I would like him to just do something. Doesn't have to be wearing the classic outfits. He's a fun character, nice design, fun with the ninja stars, fun with the weird hip-breaking cartwheel kick. Great spinning teleport. Out of all the MK4 guys, he always came across to me as the most unappreciated, Yeah,
I could see that.
There was a big stink about, Fujin not having shown up for a couple of games now, but no one makes that big stink about Reiko. Everyone's always kind of like, yeah, we'd like to see him back. It'd be cool if he got him back. But when he's not, does anyone really care? Not really. But no one hates the guy as far as I'm aware. He's just kind of there. And I think that there's a good reason that he got that spot in the MKX comics. Is he's not forgettable. He's just on the top of no one's list. So, I mean, in a game where, like, maybe Noob Saibot shows up and, like, I don't know, Quan Chi takes a backseat, Lord even knows whether or not he's a brother of the Shadow anymore. He doesn't seem to be. But I just like to get some update on what the guy's doing, if he's doing anything.
Yeah, the comic was really enjoyable, but I'm with you. I don't think that's canon at all. At best, it's canon when they want it to be. So it's canon when it's convenient. But yeah, I like the character in MK4, and it is a shame that he hasn't come back for like any of the games other than, you know, Armageddon. So I'd like to see him make a comeback here. Bring him into the 2D world. That's, to me, that's half the interest whenever I think of a character that's in the 3D era and has not been brought into the 2D era. That's half the interest for me, is how are they going to bring them into the 2D gameplay wise and all of that. I feel like those characters really flourish when they're put into the 2D environment, because their gameplay just seems to get better and better. And I don't know, I just love to see him in a modern game. I think his design could be so badass.
And he already had a lot to work with originally when he made his debut. I mean, stole that teleport throw from Noob, but apart from that,
absolutely.
Arf indeed. Arf indeed. All right, so number four. Number four is Aaron Black. He is the last of the MKX's new characters to show up on my list. And let's not fuck around about this. Aaron was the single coolest new character in this game. Come on.
I mean, I feel like the majority would agree with you by far. I feel like if you polled people, Aaron Black would definitely be at the top of that poll. For me, I've stated my top two. Aaron would take, man, he'd be like third or fourth place on that list. But
no, that's fair. Yeah. It's totally fair. But I think the cool factor is going to go a long way towards having him come back. And I think he's actually, of them all, I think he's probably the shoe-in that's not a member of the Cassian or crew for MK11.
Right.
I think he was insanely popular.
I could see him coming back. I feel like he has probably one of the best chances out of all those new characters, other than maybe one or two of the kids coming back.
He fulfilled a role that, I've said this before, that Dairu was supposed to be our guy for, you know. MK needed a bounty hunter figure or a paid mercenary, someone who will switch sides at the drop of a hat for money. And it is a shame that it took this long to get there, but when it did, it was really, really rewarding, you know. There wasn't a single aspect of his character that I didn't enjoy, like the smarminess of his personality, the different gun types. The fact that he had a Tarkatan arm across his back is great, and I hope he keeps that with him as a feature. That shit was just funny. Right. Again, he's another reminder of the variety of Outworld. MKX did that so well. He's an Outworld native, but he's basically Stephen King's Dark Tower cowboy. It's wonderful.
Yeah, he's just another example of everything we've been preaching about new character archetypes. Having the gunslinger, the old Western gunslinger, bounty hunter. That's what you get with Aaron Black. So definitely. That's why, you know, anybody, I know Razor's pretty like dead set on if they try and bring like a new big bad into the equation, like a new character, they would mess it up. But they've really won my faith over again with their character design, both in MKX and Injustice 2. I thought character design was, you know, better than ever in a lot of ways. Just the way the characters looked or the way they felt gameplay wise was really, really good. But it wasn't just that, it was also the new characters. I mean, you're naming 3 MKX new characters already, and I agree wholeheartedly with all 3 of them. I thought they were, well, actually you named all 4 because you started with Ferrator. So yeah, we've got those new 4 ones outside of the other 4 kids. So yeah, I'm wholeheartedly have faith that they could probably pull something off, because they seem to have really gotten a shot in the arm of creativity with this game.
And it's been a long time since a game has actually managed that, to introduce so many characters that I've wanted all of them, or nearly all of them, to come back. But Razor is right to be cynical about the presence of large, towering, half-on-fire bosses. He's not wrong, because Dark Khan and Possessed Shinnok, you flip a coin, and like there's a definite similarity here. They're big, they're on fire, and they hit hard. I think that they can try a bit harder than that. He's not wrong about that, but I'm willing to give them as many shots as it takes. So moving on to number 3, it is Shang Tsung. I don't think I have to go into detail about how much I love Shang. I've been saying fuck Quan Chi for the better part of 3 years. We've been doing this podcast. And I've been saying this entire time that Shang has been shafted for the longest time. I don't think that Shang has felt like a real credible threat since probably MK2, to be really honest about it. It was nice to have him step up and take the forefront in Deadly Alliance, but you know how that ended. And it was not well for him. And Armageddon didn't treat him well either. Well, but then my soul, you see, was attached to Shao Kahn, so my soul just scurried off back to him, and he gave me a new body, and I got my bitch slapped around a little bit more. Just the saga of Shang Tsung is just a saga of sadness. And while I don't necessarily agree with Razor, he said this, that it'd be very interesting to have him turn around and become a good guy. I can't buy that. He's too much of a snake.
Yeah, agreed.
I do want to see him as a force to be reckoned with, as a contender. You could put Shang Tsung as a powered-up final boss in this game, and I would not bat a fucking eye. I'd be very happy to see it happen. Wouldn't be my first choice of last boss, but wouldn't be complaining either.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't come back. I mean, there was the tease in the ending, and also he's just like that. He's just like that wart, you know. He just does. He goes away for a bit, but he's coming back. You know, he's never truly dead unless they want him to be. But he's the type of guy. He's the type of villain that I feel like is a pretty big mainstay out of all of them.
And something else, like, it is true that in terms of the games, him and Liu Kang have never had much of an opportunity to showcase a personal hatred of each other. But there is history between them, you know? At least in the old timeline there was.
Right.
You know, to the extent that, yes, he went and snapped the guy's neck. And then, if there is one relationship that I think I would like to see expanded a lot more on with our new story modes, it is Shang and, like, now Hell Death of Netherrealm Emperor Liu Kang. I would love to see how Shang reacts to Liu Kang being the big bad down in the Netherrealm these days. That holds a lot of interest for me.
It'd be interesting if Shang somehow had to work for Liu Kang. Like, I don't know if Liu Kang would even allow something like that. Evil as he may be now, Liu in his revenant state, I don't think he would want to associate with Shang even, but I still think that'd be an interesting combo. He's like the new Shao Kahn.
Give me the path to make it happen. I want this to happen. I could work for you. Fuck out of here! Be wonderful. So number 2 is Jade. And we all know why. They've been building her up for 5 goddamn years. No, Christ, no. 2011. My God, the time has passed quickly. They've been building her up for the better part of a freaking decade. What is she doing? Who's the woman in gray? Is she in the dreamscape? Is she in the Matrix? Is she really here, or was she ever here at all? And come on, the Jade fans need a little something after they got relegated to a fighting stance.
She scored high on the poll, if I remember right, for DLC.
Oh, she's high on the poll, all right. I'm sorry, that was too easy. I had to do it. I am not a proud man. But no, Jade's got her fans. Talking about Reiko, like I said, no one particularly... What's the word I'm looking for here? Jesus Christ, I'm blanking out. There aren't armies of Reiko fans clamoring, that's what I'm looking for, clamoring to have him show up in a game. But Jade's got a fan base, and she's always had a fan base. People like her. I've always loved her. And it is kind of a shame that she's kind of gotten the short end of the staff, so to speak. So all this buildup can only lead to good things, I hope, because if it doesn't, it's the single biggest drop of a ball I've seen them with a character in quite some time. We're expecting great things from Jade's presence. I hope they don't let us down.
Absolutely. I like Jade. For me, it kind of peaked in Deception. I love that design for her. But overall, obviously, I'm more of a Katana guy now, so... But I feel like I'm with you, though. The Jade fans, they need a little something, and they've been teasing it. And she scored really high on that poll, if I remember right. So, yeah, I could see her being brought back.
It's a predictable answer, as is my number 1. But I think that more than any of them, Jade's is the most deserved. Except for this next. It's a toss-up. And yet, I think you already know who the next guy is.
Absolutely. Cyrax, my man.
Oh, you sweet summer child. I want to
Kenshi?
come across the border and give you a hug. No, it's not Kenshi. Although he's probably a shoo-in.
Yeah, Kenshi's pretty... I feel like Kenshi is the more modern version of like a Scorpion. I don't think... He may not be in every single game, but I feel like he's going to be in most of them.
Now, it's actually a couple podcasts back where we're talking about how frequently like Ermac showed up, and I was like, you know what, it's always Ermac or Kenshi, and I'm kind of tired of Kenshi, and I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about, because it is true that between the two telepaths, if someone needs to take a break at this point, it really is Ermac. Ermac's had a nice couple of nice couple of games of being relevant, or being really good, or being bad, and he's had a lot of time in the spotlight. Kenshi probably does deserve it a little bit more at this point.
Yeah, Ermac, I mean, talk about a second lease on life. Bringing him in Deception, man, that really just, kind of reinvigorated that character wholeheartedly, and then he's been pretty much on fire ever since. So, yeah, definitely.
Deception is a game of like what MK11 should be looking at in terms of what to do with its cast. How do you take a bunch of guys who really have never had all that much to do and make them amazing and interesting and intriguing? But no, that is not my number one character. Kenshi's not my number one. It's not Ermac either. It is Fujin. What, you think this is a motherfucking game?
Oh,
It is. No, I'm sorry. It really is.
It was Tremor.
No, it's really not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I liked Tremor, but he's DLC. We know he's not going to make the Rain. If Rain can't make a fucking roster and has a bit part in the goddamn storyline, ain't no hope for Tremor. I'm sorry, no. It needs to be Fujin. Fujin needs to show up. Talking about people who need a fucking break. Raiden needs a fucking break. And... Oh,
I thought you said Rain.
No.
Rain needs a break. He was in that one game in MK9. He needs...
I would take Rain. I would take Rain on the starting roster any day of the week these days. And now it's ironic, because once I hated the motherfucker, and now I know it's never going to happen. But no. It's Fujin. We all know Fujin needs to have a starring role in this upcoming game. Come on. They're planting the seeds for Raiden going all dark and evil again, and you know Fujin exists to fix that and occupy that space that the Blunder God takes up.
Yeah, I'd say if it's gonna happen, it's MK11. I mean, it's pretty much MK11 or bust for that character. If Raiden going dark and evil, turning into Dark Raiden, if that doesn't cue Fujin in to take his place, I don't know. There's nothing.
I mean, worst fucking case scenario, NRS, come on. Make him a part of the story and then make him DLC if you don't feel confident of having him on the starting roster. That's all we ask. Just give us our Wind God.
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but I would be surprised if it doesn't happen, but I mean, we've been wrong on that bet before, so
we absolutely can be.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's a solid pick. I mean, that's definitely a popular one that he has the following. It's died down over time, but I feel like it's going to start back up once the hype train goes again, and once they announce the game. They wouldn't be in bad, like, it wouldn't be a bad move to just reveal him early on, if not in the initial reveal. I feel like that's one of those characters that could get the hype the hype really rolling quickly and just start off hot.
Yeah, definitely. It would be a shot in the arm, for sure. There'd be very few reveals like seeing Fujin as one of the initial, like, get me really, really excited about the game. Because right now, I'm not in full hype mode yet, we're in that period where we know it's coming. It's going to be soon.
Yeah, It's
like any day now. Now we're just kind of drumming our fingers and kind of crossing our fingers. But once we start seeing people, that's when we're going to go full on ape shit. And seeing Fujin would just, oh my god, I punch people's pets in anticipation and fervor.
It definitely feels like the calm before the storm for me. Like, I know it's going to be all aboard the hype train once, E3 comes around and we're, knee deep in it. And then I'm just resting up until that point. Like, I'm just like, okay, try not to think too hard about MK, because I don't want to jump, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, so to speak. I don't want to hype before we even get there. So Definitely looking forward to it. So let's recap your list here. So we had 10 was Ferritor.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have for number 9? Taven,
Taven or Dagon, depending if the seconds are even or odd. Pick one.
Right. And then 8 was Devora. 7 was Kotal Khan.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you have for 6?
Noob Saibot.
And then number 5?
Reiko.
4?
Aaron Black.
3?
Shang Tsung.
2?
Jade.
Number 1.
Fujin.
All right, solid list. Solid list.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very
much. It definitely differs a lot from Temp and I, so I think we have a good variety here. Let's just hope our lists hold up as well as they did with Injustice 2 in terms of characters we wanted.
Holy shit.
We got really lucky with that.
Fucking uncanny in how much of what we wanted actually showed up, and how tragic is it that we just wound up not caring about that game despite getting so much that we wanted. Oh, the ingratitude
I had fun
of
with
fans.
it. Don't get me wrong.
So did I.
My time with Ivy and Scarecrow, I thought that was a ton of fun. But yeah,
it was. I mean, it was a good month for me. That's it.
I mean, that's more than you probably thought you were gonna get before we even really got to that point. You weren't really feeling it anyways, so to get that month and to enjoy that month, at least you had that. But we're getting there. We're getting there for MK11. So thanks for checking out Shadowloo's list. Definitely go check out Temp's list as well as mine from a few months back. So just look in our video history, and we will have Razors and Django's coming up soon as well. So on that note, thanks for tuning in, guys. Check out the Discord, check out the Facebook group. You know all the fun stuff. Check out Test Your Might. I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Shad, for sharing your list.
Hell yes, and tune in soon for The Lost. We're talking lore in a fighting game?